The afternoon sun cast long shadows across our front lawn as I watched Mark's car pull into the driveway. He was home early, again. 3 times this week, he'd left work before 5, claiming the boss was letting people go early. But his collar was wrinkled, and there was a faint trace of perfume I didn't recognize clinging to his shirt. "Hey, honey," he called out, kissing my cheek quickly before heading straight to the shower. That was new too. Mark used to collapse on the couch first thing, beer in hand, complaining about traffic. Now he rushed to wash away the day before I could get close enough to notice anything. I stood in our kitchen, absently stirring pasta sauce, when I noticed him through the window. Our neighbor, Natalie, was watering her garden next door. She was attractive, late 30s, blonde, with a figure she maintained religiously at the gym. She'd moved in 6 months ago after her divorce, and Mark had been unusually helpful during her settling-in period. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister asking about dinner plans. I replied quickly, then noticed Mark had left his phone on the counter. The screen lit up with a notification. "Natalie, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same time." My breath caught. I stared at those words until the screen went dark. My hands trembled as I picked up his phone. I knew his passcode, our anniversary. He'd never changed it, probably never thought he needed to. The messages loaded slowly, each one a dagger. Weeks of conversations. Stolen moments. Plans made in the gaps between our ordinary life. "You feel so good," one read. "Your husband doesn't suspect anything, does he?" asked another. There were photos too, her in lingerie, posed against her bedroom wall, the same wall I could see from our bathroom window. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. Quickly, I put the phone back exactly where he'd left it and returned to stirring the sauce. My heart hammered, but my face remained calm. Years of hiding disappointment at his broken promises had taught me how to mask my emotions. Mark came down in fresh clothes, smiling broadly. "Smells great, babe." He wrapped his arms around my waist from behind, kissing my neck. I felt sick. Those same lips had been on her skin, speaking words he used to reserve for me. "How was work?" I asked, my voice steady. "Busy. Exhausting. Gerald's riding everyone hard about the quarterly reports." The lie rolled off his tongue so easily. That night, as Mark slept beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Natalie's bedroom light was still on. I could see her shadow moving behind the curtains. Tomorrow, Mark had told me he had an early meeting. Tomorrow, according to those messages, he'd be with her. I'd spent 12 years building a life with this man. We'd weathered his mother's death, my miscarriage, his layoff 3 years ago. I'd stood by him through everything. And this was how he repaid that loyalty. But I wasn't going to cry. Not yet. Instead, a cold clarity settled over me. Mark wanted me to stay quiet. I'd give him quiet, the kind that comes before a storm. The next morning, I woke before Mark and made him breakfast: scrambled eggs, bacon, toast with butter, just how he liked it. He looked surprised but pleased. "What's the occasion?" he asked, biting into the crispy bacon. "No occasion. Just felt like taking care of my husband." I smiled sweetly, refilling his coffee. "You've seemed stressed lately. I want you to know I appreciate how hard you work." Something flickered across his face. Guilt, maybe, or relief. "Thanks, babe. That means a lot." He checked his watch. "I should head out. That meeting's at 8:30. Drive safe." I called as he left, watching his car disappear down the street. I counted to 60, then grabbed my keys. I knew exactly where they met. There was a small park 3 blocks away, secluded and quiet in the mornings. I'd pieced it together from their messages, the mentions of our spot by the oak trees, and where we first kissed. I parked a distance away and walked through the trees. And there they were. Mark had Natalie pressed against his car, his hands tangled in her blonde hair, kissing her with a passion I hadn't seen from him in years. She wore a sundress that barely covered her thighs, and his hands roamed freely over her body. They were so absorbed in each other, they didn't notice me standing 30 feet away, my phone camera recording every moment. I watched for exactly 2 minutes, enough to capture the intimacy, the way he whispered in her ear, making her laugh, the way she bit his lower lip before pulling him back into another deep kiss. His hands slipped beneath her dress, gripping her thighs as he lifted her slightly against the car. She moaned softly, a sound that made my stomach turn. I left before they saw me. I had what I needed. Back home, I made myself tea and sat at the kitchen table, reviewing the footage. It was crystal clear, no room for denial or excuses. I backed it up to the cloud, to a USB drive, to my laptop. This evidence wasn't going anywhere. Then I opened my laptop and started planning. Our neighborhood had a community Facebook page, very active, managed by Patricia Chun from 3 doors down. We also had a monthly potluck tradition that had fallen by the wayside during the pandemic, but had recently started up again. The next one was scheduled for this Saturday at the Community Park Pavilion. I messaged Patricia, "Hey, I'd love to host this month's potluck at our place instead. I have some exciting news to share with everyone, and our backyard is finally finished. Would Saturday evening work?" Her response came quickly. "That sounds wonderful. I'll send out the announcement." Within an hour, the neighborhood group chat was buzzing. People loved the idea of a backyard gathering. Even Natalie responded with a thumbs-up emoji, completely oblivious. Mark came home that evening looking relaxed, almost happy. "How was the meeting?" I asked. "Productive. Really productive." He kissed my forehead. "I'm glad I went." "I bet you are," I thought. "Honey, I invited the neighbors over Saturday for a potluck. I hope that's okay. I thought it would be nice to finally show off the backyard after all that landscaping work." His face paled slightly. "This Saturday?" "Yes. Is that a problem?" No. Just wasn't expecting it." "That's great, babe. Really great." His smile didn't reach his eyes. I spent the next few days being the perfect wife. I was attentive, affectionate, cooking his favorite meals. I even initiated intimacy one night, watching his face as he touched me, wondering if he was thinking of her. The thought should have devastated me, but instead, I felt detached, as if I was observing someone else's life. Saturday arrived with perfect weather, sunny and warm with a gentle breeze. I'd been up since dawn, preparing food, setting up tables in the backyard, arranging flowers. Everything had to be perfect. Mark seemed nervous, constantly checking his phone. "That's a lot of food," he observed, watching me arrange platters. "We have a lot of neighbors coming." I replied cheerfully. "I want everyone to have a good time." By 6 o'clock, our backyard was filled with people. The Hendersons brought their famous potato salad. Old Mr. Jameson from the corner house showed up with his homemade wine. Patricia brought desserts. And Natalie arrived fashionably late, wearing a tight white dress that showed off her figure. She hugged me at the door. "Your home is beautiful, Emma," she gushed, using my name with false familiarity. "Thank you, Natalie. Make yourself comfortable. There's wine on the patio table." I watched her walk away, her hips swaying deliberately. She knew Mark was watching too. Throughout the evening, I played the perfect hostess, making sure everyone had food and drinks, facilitating introductions, laughing at jokes. Mark stayed close to the grill, flipping burgers and avoiding eye contact with Natalie, though I caught them exchanging glances when they thought no one was looking. Around 8 o'clock, when everyone was relaxed and full, I clinked my glass to get everyone's attention. "Thank you all for coming tonight," I began, standing on our back deck so everyone could see me. "Mark and I are so grateful to be part of such a wonderful community. You've all been so welcoming and kind." Mark smiled uncertainly from his position by the grill. "I wanted to gather you all here tonight because I believe in transparency and honesty in a community. We're neighbors. We look out for each other. We trust each other." I paused, letting those words sink in. That's why I think it's important to address something that's been happening right under all our noses. The crowd grew quiet. Confused glances were exchanged. 6 months ago, Natalie moved in next door. And my husband, Mark, was very helpful to her. Very attentive. I pulled out my phone, connecting it to the Bluetooth speaker we'd been playing music through. I thought it was just neighborly kindness. But I was wrong. Mark's face drained of color. "Emma, what are you?" "I'm being honest, darling. Isn't that what you always said you valued?" I tapped my phone, and the video began playing through the speaker's connected display screen I'd set up earlier, claiming it was for a photo slideshow. The footage was crystal clear. Mark and Natalie in the park, their bodies pressed together, his hands exploring beneath her dress, her moans audible to everyone in our silent backyard. Gasps erupted. Someone dropped a plate. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. "Emma, please." Mark started toward me, but Mr. Jameson stepped in his way. "I think you've done enough, son," the old man said firmly. Natalie stood frozen, her face bright red, looking around at the shocked and disgusted faces surrounding her. The silence in the backyard was deafening after I paused the video. 32 faces stared at the screen, then at Mark, then at Natalie, then back at me. Some looked horrified, others angry. A few seemed almost impressed by my boldness. Mark finally found his voice. You can't just. Emma, we need to talk about this privately. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that didn't feel like it came from me. Privately? Like how you and Natalie had private conversations. Private meetings? Private moments in the park at 8 in the morning when you told me you had work meetings? You followed me. His shock at my audacity was almost comical. I verified what I already knew. I pulled up my phone again. Would everyone like to see the text messages too? There are some particularly interesting ones. Here's one from 3 days ago. Your mouth felt incredible yesterday. I can't stop thinking about it. Patricia made a choking sound. Several neighbors started gathering their things, clearly uncomfortable. But most stayed, transfixed by the unfolding drama. Natalie finally spoke, her voice shaking. You're a psycho. You humiliated us in front of everyone because you couldn't handle your marriage problems privately? My marriage problems? I descended the deck steps slowly, deliberately. Let me be clear, Natalie. I didn't create this problem. I didn't pursue a married man. I didn't send naked photos to someone's husband. I didn't meet him in secret while his wife believed he was at work. I stopped a few feet from her. I simply revealed what you both worked so hard to hide. You had no right, she started. I have every right. My voice rose, months of suppressed anger finally breaking through. You moved into this neighborhood, smiled at me over the fence, accepted my welcome basket, came to my home for dinner parties, all while sleeping with my husband. You have no moral ground to stand on here. Mr. Henderson, a retired lawyer, cleared his throat. I think maybe we should all give them some space. No, I interrupted. Everyone should stay. You all deserve to know who you're living next to. Mark presented himself as a devoted husband, a good neighbor, a trustworthy man. Natalie positioned herself as a divorced woman starting fresh, looking for friendship and community. These are the real people behind those masks. Mark's jaw clenched. You're destroying everything. I'm destroying everything. I spun to face him. You destroyed our marriage the first time you touched her. You destroyed 12 years of trust every time you lied to me. You destroyed our future every single time you chose her over me. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth about what kind of man you really are. He took a step toward me, then seemed to think better of it. I made a mistake. I was going to end it. When? I demanded. When were you going to end it? Because according to the message from yesterday, you were planning to see her again tomorrow afternoon. Natalie sent you her address. Oh wait, you already know her address. You've been there dozens of times. Tears streamed down Natalie's face now, her carefully applied makeup running in dark streaks. I never meant for this to happen. We just connected. You connected, I repeated flatly. How romantic. How special. Two people finding each other despite the inconvenient detail of his marriage vows. Mrs. Patterson, who lived across the street and had been married for 40 years, spoke up. Young lady, she addressed Natalie, her voice cold. You should be ashamed of yourself. And Mark, your poor mother would be heartbroken. That hit Mark visibly. His mother had adored me, had made him promise on her deathbed to always treat me well. The party dissolved quickly after that. Neighbors left in clusters, whispering among themselves, shooting disgusted looks at Mark and Natalie. Patricia squeezed my hand before leaving. You're stronger than I ever could be, she whispered. Call me if you need anything. Within 20 minutes, only Mark, Natalie, and I remained in the backyard, surrounded by half-eaten food and abandoned drinks. Natalie broke first. I'm leaving, she announced, grabbing her purse. She shot Mark a look that seemed to ask if he was coming with her. When he didn't move, fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. This is insane. You're insane, Emma. Maybe, I conceded. But I'm not the one who destroyed a marriage. Drive safe, neighbor. She fled, practically running through the side gate to avoid going through the house. We heard her car start moments later, tires squealing as she sped away. Then it was just Mark and me, standing in the wreckage of our life together. Why? He asked finally, his voice hollow. Why did you have to do it like this? You asked me to stay quiet. I reminded him calmly. You begged me not to tell anyone because it would ruin your reputation, cause a scandal. I thought about that request very carefully. And you decided to do the exact opposite. I decided that your reputation deserved to be ruined. You earned that scandal through your choices. I started collecting plates, needing something to do with my hands. You wanted to protect yourself from consequences while continuing to have everything. Me at home playing the loyal wife, and her on the side for excitement. Well, you don't get that anymore. Emma, I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. We can fix this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. No. The word came out firm and final. I've already contacted a divorce attorney. Papers will be ready by Tuesday. His face crumpled. You can't mean that. 12 years, Emma. 12 years together. Exactly. 12 years I gave you. 12 years of loyalty, support, love. And you threw it away for someone shiny and new. I met his eyes directly. I stayed quiet for 3 days, Mark. 3 days I knew about the affair and said nothing. Do you know what I did in that time? He shook his head. I documented everything. Every message, every meeting time, every lie you told me. I transferred money from our joint account to my personal account. Only my half. Don't worry, I'm not a thief. I changed all my passwords. I informed my lawyer. I copied all our important documents. I called a moving company. They'll be here Monday morning to pack my things. Where will you go? That's not your concern anymore. I picked up another plate. My sister has a spare room. I'll stay there while I find an apartment. Please, Emma. Please don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll never see her again. I'll change jobs. We can move to a different neighborhood. I don't want to move. I like this neighborhood. Most of these people are good, honest folks. I'm not the one who should have to leave. I paused in my cleaning to look at him. But you should probably consider it. After tonight, I doubt many of them will be very friendly to you. The truth of that statement settled over him visibly. He'd be the neighborhood pariah now, the cheater exposed. Every barbecue, every wave hello, every community event would be tainted by everyone knowing what he'd done. I never wanted to hurt you, he said quietly. Then you should have thought before you started this affair. Every single time you touched her, you chose to hurt me. Every lie was a choice. Every secret meeting was a choice. You made hundreds of choices that hurt me, Mark. I've made just one, to stop letting you. I left him standing there in the backyard and went inside. I had the locks changed scheduled for first thing Monday morning. By the time the moving truck pulled away, I would be gone from his life completely. From the kitchen window, I could see Natalie's house next door. Her lights were all on, and I imagined her frantically packing, preparing to flee the neighborhood where everyone now knew her as a homewrecker. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. The neighborhood group chat is blowing up. Everyone's on your side. Just so you know. And Natalie's house just went up for sale. I got an alert from the Realtor app. I smiled. Good. They should both feel the weight of their choices. Later that night, alone in our bed for the first time in years, I didn't cry. Instead, I felt something unexpected, relief. The pretending was over. The uncertainty was gone. I knew exactly who Mark was now, and I knew exactly what I deserved, which was so much better than what he'd given me. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. But tomorrow, everyone would be talking. The story would spread beyond our street, through social media, through mutual friends. Mark and Natalie would be infamous. And I would be free. I pulled out my laptop and opened an email to my attorney, ready to proceed with everything we discussed. Please file the papers as soon as possible. Then I allowed myself one moment of satisfaction. Mark had begged me to stay quiet, assuming I was weak, that I would absorb this betrayal silently to avoid embarrassment. He'd underestimated me completely. Sometimes the loudest response is the truth, spoken clearly in front of everyone who needs to hear it. And sometimes, the greatest revenge is simply letting someone face the natural consequences of their actions. I closed my laptop and finally let myself cry, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming relief of finally being honest after days of pretending. Tomorrow, I would start rebuilding. But tonight, I would let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. The affair was over. The lies were exposed. And I was finally, completely free to move forward without him. The end.